Let's be honest, AI is moving at lightning speed, probably faster than any of our organizations can really keep up with. Your teams are out there experimenting, vendors are promising the world, and somewhere in all that excitement, a quiet, invisible risk is growing. So in this explainer, we're going to break down AI governance into simple, practical terms. No jargon, I promise, just the kind of clarity every leader needs to innovate safely. Let's dive in. This is the tightrope every leader is walking right now. On one side, you've got this incredible promise, right? The chance to innovate faster than ever, to unlock brand new capabilities, and to get a real competitive edge. But on the other side, well, that's the peril. And it's sneaky. It's made of these invisible risks, these totally unpredictable failures, and this growing exposure that just builds up when AI gets rolled out without a solid plan. So what's the solution? It's something called AI governance. But let's be really clear about what this is and what it isn't. This is not about slowing people down or creating a bunch of bureaucracy. AI governance is simply the system you use to make safe, legal, and responsible decisions about AI. Its whole purpose is to enable innovation, not to kill it. Okay, so let's dig into why this is so critical. We're going to talk about AI's hidden risks and really get to the heart of why just winging it is no longer an option. And look, these aren't some abstract, maybe one day kind of problems. The costs of ungoverned AI are very, very real. We're talking about massive legal exposure if a model makes a bad call, serious data leakage from systems that weren't properly vetted, and reputational damage that can take years, if not forever, to fix. It also leads to biased decisions, getting you locked into a single vendor. And my personal favorite, shadow AI. That's when your teams start using unapproved tools, putting the entire organization at risk without anyone even knowing. So, how do we get a handle on all this? How do we build that control and confidence we need? Well, it's actually not as complicated as it might sound. It really boils down to a pretty straightforward 5-part governance system. This is your practical framework for getting it done right. I love this analogy because it just perfectly captures the spirit of what good governance should be. It's not some big, clunky machine that slows you down. No, it's like a seatbelt for your AI projects. It's simple, it's reliable, and it's always on in the background, giving you the confidence to move forward and to move forward at speed. So here it is, the entire system at a glance. These are the 5 core components we're about to walk through: principles, policies, processes, controls, and assurance. Think of this as your blueprint, your game plan for safe innovation. First up, you've got principles. The best way to think about these is as your organization's North Star for anything and everything AI. They're just clear, simple statements about what your company believes in, things like human centricity or fairness. They're the values that guide every single decision that follows. Okay, so from those high-level principles, we move to policies. If the principles are your destination, policies are the rules of the road that get you there safely. They make the principles concrete. They define who gets to use AI, for what purpose, and with what kind of data. This is where you turn those big values into specific, actionable directives. Next, you absolutely need processes. These are the practical, day-to-day workflows for how projects get requested, reviewed, and monitored. Now, this is a huge one. So many organizations have great principles and policies on paper, but they completely fall apart right here, at the process stage. Without a clear and efficient workflow, all your good intentions just become a bottleneck. The 4th component is controls. You can think of these as the essential safeguards, both technical and procedural, that really bring your policies to life. We're talking about things like data privacy standards, having mandatory human oversight for high-stakes decisions, and doing rigorous testing before an AI ever goes live. These are your non-negotiable safety nets. And finally, number 5 is assurance. This is all about proof. How do you prove that everything is actually working the way it's supposed to? It's the documented evidence, the testing results, the monitoring logs, the audit trails that demonstrates your AI is safe, legal, and doing what you said it would. Assurance is what builds and maintains trust with your customers, with regulators, and even with your own board. Okay, so now we have the framework. Let's shift gears from theory to a practical toolkit. What does all this actually look like for you as a leader day to day? It's so important to get this. Governance isn't a single hoop you jump through. It's a continuous process that you apply at key checkpoints all along the AI lifecycle. So, before you even think about building or buying something, you plan and assess the risk. During development, you're implementing your controls. And then, crucially, after it's released, you are constantly monitoring its performance. This brings us to a really critical distinction about your role in all of this. Your job is not to get lost in the technical weeds. Your role is to govern. You set the direction, you ask the really tough questions, and you demand evidence. You empower your teams to implement and innovate within that safe framework you've helped create. And here it is. This might be your single most powerful tool. The next time a team brings you an AI project, don't just ask them if it works. Ask these questions. When they tell you what problem they're solving, listen for a real business need, not just a cool piece of tech looking for a home. And when you ask, who is accountable, you're looking for a name, a single person, not a committee. These questions aren't just a checklist. They're your lens for driving clarity and control. All right, let's bring this all home with the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle. How we move from a defensive mindset of just managing risk to an offensive one, where we turn good governance into a real, tangible, competitive advantage. It all comes down to this essential mindset shift. The old view sees governance as a cost center. It's that thing that slows innovation, creates bureaucracy, and is just a compliance checkbox. But the modern strategic view sees it as an asset. Good governance doesn't slow you down. It actually enables safe speed. It builds incredible trust with your customers, and it drives fundamentally better, more responsible decisions across the entire organization. And the payoff for making this shift is immense. The truth is, organizations that do AI governance well just perform better, period. They innovate faster because their teams have the clarity and confidence to operate within clear guardrails. They build deep, lasting customer trust. They dramatically reduce their legal and financial risk. And you know what? They attract the best talent because the top performers want to do meaningful work at companies that are serious about doing it right. So that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. As you look at the AI initiatives happening in your organization right now, you have to ask yourself, is it a hidden risk or is it on the path to becoming a true strategic asset? The choice, and now the framework to get you there, is yours.